Good evening, I'm Keisha Butts with a CTV News update. A changing of the guard for Prince George's police after a blistering report about racism in the department. Chief Hank Stawinski is out and county officials have named an interim replacement. Byron Scott reports.
County Executive Angela Alsobrooks has named Assistant Chief Hector Valdez as interim chief of the department. Now it comes a day after Chief Hank Stawinski resigned from the force after 6 years as the chief. Calls for his removal increased after a lawsuit was filed regarding a detailed report alleging discrimination and retaliation against officers of color by white officers and supervisors. They say Stawinski could have corrected the problems but did not. Also, Brooks says the lawsuit had nothing to do with her asking Stawinski for his resignation.
What I can tell you is my decision was made with a lot of thought. It was a very thoughtful decision that I arrived at after many, many months of not only thinking, but talking to a good number of people around our community, talking to some in the department. And so this is a decision that I arrived at after much thought, and it did not have anything to do with the report.
Bob Ross of the NAACP was one of those calling for Stawinski to step down. He says he's pleased with the decision. The search now begins nationwide for a permanent chief. I'm Byron Scott. Back to you.
Advocacy groups call for police reform in Maryland. The ACLU, Common Cause, the Innocent Project, and dozens more are lobbying for statewide changes. They want to limit police use of force, open up misconduct probes, and eliminate the Law Enforcement Officers' Bill of Rights. The U.S. Supreme Court keeps the DACA program in place. The ruling yesterday protects undocumented immigrants brought to the country as children. It impacts nearly 700,000 DACA recipients, also known as Dreamers, including Jorge Benitez Perez. Patricia Vallone has more.
This is not over. We definitely want more. To us, DACA is a bandage to everything that we go through. We're demanding citizenship. We want there to be more. Right now, DACA is, like I said, it's only a permit that allows us a 2-year time period to, be eligible for work and relief from deportation. But the Supreme Court didn't rule that that ICE cannot come and deport us. That was not one of their rulings. So we're still kind of anxious about that. Like, what if Trump decides, to send ICE after Dreamers who've been here for all these years?
This was the second defeat for the Trump administration this week. On Monday, the High Court ruled that gay and lesbian workers are protected from job discrimination under the 1964 landmark civil rights law known as Title VII. Weekly COVID-19 conference calls between the governor and top local leaders ended in mid-May. And according to Anne Arundel County Executive Stuart Pittman, he and other leaders were shocked. Pittman tells Maryland Matters that leaders wanted a collaborative approach to reopening the state, and he's refuting the governor's claim that they wanted a more conservative easing of COVID-19 restrictions. Meantime, Maryland now has more than 63,000 confirmed cases of the coronavirus and just over 2,900 deaths. Maryland's unemployment rate stands at 9.9%. That's according to the latest statistics released by the Labor Department. Today, the May jobless rate is 6% higher compared to the same period last year. Nationally, Nevada has the highest state unemployment rate at 25.3%. Across the country and across the region, Americans are observing Juneteenth. Katara Jones has more.
Americans across the country celebrate Juneteenth today. The annual holiday commemorates the end of slavery. On this day, 155 years ago, Union General Gordon Granger issued a decree telling slaves in Texas that they were free. This order came more than 2 years after Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation. Now here in Maryland, Juneteenth is a state holiday. CTV spoke to Dr. Dennis Doster from the Department of Parks and Recreation about the large national movement to celebrate the holiday.
This has definitely been a movement that's been going on for decades. I believe Texas, of course, because that's where Juneteenth originated. They were the first to recognize it as a state holiday in 1980. And so since then, there's been a movement, a national movement growing to kind of get all of the states on board to recognize Juneteenth in some form as either a holiday or a state official observance. We too often for too long, Black history has been kind of segregated, just like the Black experience and thought of as something different and separate. And hopefully I feel like, this time people are beginning more and more to see about how important it is to look at Black history as a part of American history and how that influences all the things that we are dealing with today, that this history is very real and that has created the society that we live in today, both good and bad as well.
Meantime, Governor Larry Hogan issued a proclamation declaring today Juneteenth Day in Maryland. The Prince George's County Department of Parks and Recreation hosted its annual Juneteenth celebration virtually. Reporting in Blue Week, Tara Jones, CTV News.
Spending Father's Day with your dad this Sunday, cooking breakfast for him or showering him with gifts? Community advocates for family and youth say you can also observe Father's Day by giving back to men who've experienced trauma. The group is hosting a virtual silent fundraiser to raise money and awareness for male victims of crime. The group has been serving the community for years by providing counseling, legal services, and emergency stays, but says men are less likely to seek help.
Oftentimes, there's not a lot of attention given to male survivors, and male survivors don't often seek out help. And so this was just a way to kind of draw some attention since it's Father's Day, to encourage men to seek help and be able to, people to purchase gifts at the last minute if they haven't done so.
You have until Saturday to participate. The auction will be used to support organization services. For more information, visit cafeonline.org.
Hi everybody, welcome to this CTV Sports Report. Tonight we start with Major League Baseball and we continue our conversations with 2020 Orioles draft picks. We talk to Hudson Haskin tonight, an outfielder from Tulane who was selected 39th overall in the second round. He's excited to come to Baltimore.
That's pretty cool. Still got to pinch myself and come back to reality a little bit, but it's been an awesome couple days and really excited to get drafted by such an amazing franchise and ready to get going. As far as the draft goes, I felt like for me, even though it was difficult to not think about it all the time, just because it is such a significant kind of point in your life, I felt like I left everything I could on the field and everything was out of my control. So, it was up to the teams. If they wanted to take me, I felt like I did everything I could and just really happy where I ended up. Couldn't think of a better fit. So it's something that's kind of evolved over time. I think as I get older, I now have an understanding of what works for me and kind of ownership of, it may be a little unorthodox, but that's what works for me and that's how I'm comfortable hitting. I think it's taken me 21 years to get to this point, but I feel really good with where I'm at now and where I need to be moving forward. I'm really looking forward to the opportunity to get going. This is something I wanted to do ever since I was a little kid, and the opportunity to be a part of an organization like the Orioles is something that I really, value and cherish. So if everything works out, I'm looking forward to getting started.
Moving on to soccer, the NWSL will be the first professional league to take the field in the United States. The Washington Spirit are on the field training and now are going full 11-on-11 as they prepare for the Challenge Cup.
You can see the enjoyment in them. They love to play. This is what they've been denied, and playing in 11v11 scenarios like this, they exploded a little bit today, which was great to see. Very happy with the last 15-20 minutes in particular.
Being back together has just brought a smile to my face every day, whether it's just pregame rondos or getting after it in 11v11. It just feels really good to be back and to be back together and develop those relationships on and off the field.
Michael, our sports science guy, he's pushed our loading up incredibly high to try and get ready for 4 to 5 games in the matter of 2 to 3 weeks, and he's trying to get our muscles and our fitness levels ready for game after game. It's been really intense, but it's been awesome. We've seen a lot of growth these last couple of weeks.
Feels good. We were all dying to get back together after quarantine, so just being able to get out here and build our minutes each day, getting more comfortable with the new players and just getting more comfortable as a team together on the field is good.
And that is your CTV Sports Report.
And that wraps up CTV News for now. I'm Keisha Butts. Thank you for joining us.